Bro, every fucking episode, there has to, can you imagine just like a montage of me fucking looking for the L or the R on these fucking headsets?
Yeah, that's a personal problem because
Yeah, no, it's user error.
it
For
doesn't
sure.
make a fucking difference which ear it goes on.
Yeah, but what if you say something and it was supposed to be to my left ear, but I heard it on my right? You know, that's the gamer in me that's worried about that.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it really?
Bro.
I didn't know if you were being sarcastic or you being this serious.
No. I remember playing fucking Fortnite, and like the gunshots are coming from the right side, and I go and I'm getting hit from the left, and I'm like, this game is so fucking dumb. The audio in this game is dog
That whole
shit.
time it's you with the fucking headphones.
And then I take them off in the end. We won somehow, because Fortnite's not that hard if you just play against bots. I take my fucking headset off. It was like R and L. I was like, stupid fucking idiot.
Yeah, because you can even hear like which direction people are walking from. Yeah.
Nothing was fucking making sense. I was playing with some friends, and I'm like, dog, this fucking game's audio is shit. And it was me.
I couldn't get into
It was a
that
skill
shit.
issue.
Fortnite. I'm not really a
Fortnite's
shooter.
horrible. Fortnite's bad. Apparently they do no building now, which I guess is better, but still gonna be a slow game.
What do you mean? Like players have kind of like collectively said, "Oh, we're not building," or
No,
the
there's a
game
game
has
mode.
removed. Oh,
There's a game mode where they,
just shooting people.
yeah,
I mean, that defeats the whole fucking purpose of it being Fortnite. That was the thing.
yeah, that was what. But that was what created the greatest skill gap in any game ever.
Dead ass.
So
Dead ass.
it was either you fucking got good at it or don't even fucking play the game. So
Yo, because my little brother put me on. It was like 3 years ago, and for anybody who has a little brother that plays games obsessively, it's already hard to fucking beat them.
yeah,
Now you're getting introduced to a game like Fortnite.
yep.
I'm shooting this motherfucker, and next 5 seconds he got a whole goddamn castle, and I'm like, bro,
Cracking
yeah,
90s.
I'm done.
Fucking cracked.
Yeah, I couldn't do it.
Anyway, well, here we are. Let's do that.
Yeah. Cheers.
If it's up, then it's stuck. Right? Welcome to the Mancave podcast, where we talk everything Cardi B. Gobble be, swallow me, dripped on the side of me. Can you imagine the Mancave podcast, a whole episode dedicated to Cardi B lyrics?
Fucking thumbnail, just her with her tongue out. That ass. That would be funny. Nah. But yeah, we got an interesting topic here.
Yeah, controversial. I mean, everything that we put on the internet seems to be controversial, no matter how fucking light. It could be the fucking stupidest joke in the world and someone's going to get offended. So here we are, about to offend people for sure.
And I know Punta Cana is not in Mexico. Like, what the fuck, bro? Take it easy.
Bro, it's bad. The internet it's a bad place.
But everybody's perfect on the internet.
Yeah.
So, God forbid.
Yep. It's a competition of who's the toughest, who's the smartest, who's the funniest. And everybody's judge, jury, and executioner. And then they hit you whatever information they want to hit you with, and then they block you.
Yes. Yes. That is the part that aggravates the shit out of me. It's like people are commenting on the YouTube and the IG page.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, all right, if you have a point, make your point. But allow somebody else to dispute or combat
That's
the point.
not why we're here.
Yeah, like, oh, such and such has made it so that people can't comment or at them. I'm like, bro, are you fucking kidding me? You started this beef, bro.
Yeah.
We gonna finish it.
We just put a 60-second clip of us bullshitting, and my man was like, oh, this makes me fucking furious. Say some stupid shit, and then block us so that we can't say anything back. Welcome to the internet.
Dead ass. So we're gonna have a lot of them tonight because
We have a fun topic.
yeah.
Little fun conversation. It was one that I had. It's a conversation that I've had with a lot of people that I've overheard other people having, whether in person, social media. It's just one that people are going to argue about until the end of time.
Yep.
And can black people be racist? And that's going to be kind of dissected into, can minorities be racist?
Okay.
Because if you want to argue that black people can't be racist because of the definition or their definition of racism, it has to also be like
People of color across the board.
or
Yeah.
you can't pick and choose.
Yeah.
If you're gonna fight the fight it with everyone, and don't pick and dissect who's can be racist versus not. In the end of the day, I think the line in the sand that people are trying to draw or has been drawn. It's, white people versus everybody else.
Yeah.
Right. And I think it's just it's such a fucked up situation when it comes to race and racism and everything. Because obviously I've experienced it, you've experienced it.
How do you know?
Because you're black in America. Homie, if you haven't experienced racism, you're a gem on this earth.
I thought you were going to reference our vitamin shop history, so clearly I've experienced it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you want to talk about that?
I don't. They can burn in hell. Vitamin shop can burn in hell, as far as I'm concerned.
And I think obviously it's impossible to know where the conversation even began.
Yeah.
As far as can black people be racist, but it starts off with, I think, white people trying to say that they've experienced racism.
Yeah, 100%.
And then right there, boom, is like, well, you can't experience racism because people of color can't be racist to you.
Yeah.
Now, how do you feel about this topic?
So when you initially brought it up, I thought to myself, has racism become more clearly defined as, we've gotten into the modern world, or are we still using the 1800s definition of what the fuck racism is? Because obviously times are so different now compared to back then. Like, white people didn't have to be racist when they had slaves. They were the fucking master. There was no definition, law, or rule that was going to separate you from them. They were fucking kill you if you oppose whatever.
You can't be like,
said.
well, you're being racist. No, that's just the way that the world is being lived.
Good luck, little Jimmy. Come out your mouth saying some shit like that. But yeah, no. So I started thinking, like, has the definition changed? And what the fuck even is the definition of racism, right?
Yeah.
What would you say it is a definition?
I mean, without looking it up, I just thought that the definition of racism was just, you viewed yourself better than all other races.
Right.
That you don't want to be associated with them. You don't want the people in your family associated with them. It's a pure hatred of those people. That was always my definition. And then once I had conversations about people being like, well, black people can't be racist. And then I was like, well, why? And they all have the same responses about systemic power and how you have to be in a position of power to be racist, because you can't jeopardize somebody's livelihood if you're not within that position.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right?
That makes sense.
And I think that's the argument for a lot of people. I even have a clip from a Netflix show called Dear White People. Have you ever seen that show?
I watched the first season, but even then it was spotty. I wasn't like locked into every episode.
That was when that show came out. That had a lot of uproar from white people.
I remember.
That was like, well, this is a racist fucking show.
I remember.
And then that's when I think I heard that first argument, well, black people can't be racist. Mm-hmm. And black people can and say whatever they want about white people, and white people can't be offended, or they can't feel like they're being attacked.
Right.
And I heard a bunch of that when that show first came out. So I was going to play the clip for you that I found. I'll put that into, obviously edit everything in so you guys can see it on YouTube as well.
The role of counterculture is to wake up the mainstream.
I have furniture older than you. Counterculture? Is that what you think this is? Your little show?
What about my show?
The show is racist.
Black people can't be racist. Prejudice, yes, but not racist. Racism describes a system of disadvantage based on race. Black people can't be racist since we don't stand to benefit from such a system.
Your antics are making press, Sam. And press like this keeps men like President Fletcher up at night.
So that's pretty much it. That was her definition in order to justify what she's doing.
I kind of hate the clip because Allstate dude didn't even like give. Oh, maybe he does at some point in the end, but
yeah, it's a 20-second clip.
He doesn't really have a rebuttal for it, other than like
you're making people upset.
Yeah,
yeah.
And I hate to say it, but there is like a clear cut difference between older black people and younger black people when it comes to racism. At least from what I've experienced, what I understand. It's like older black people, a lot of them have this understanding of racism as it pertains to what they experienced or what they saw growing up. And they think because the world has become such a better place, people are more tolerable of other cultures and, skin colors, religions, whatever, that, some younger generations are just like blowing shit out of proportion, which may or may not be true. I don't know. But I do know that initially I thought the same thing as you as far as like the definition of racism.
Yeah.
I thought it was, I don't like this person because of their skin color. I don't want this black person dating my white daughter or black person dating my Asian daughter, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
And it's because I'm better than them, or they're not, black people are not as good, or, Asian people are not as good as whatever race you want to throw into the conversation. That's what I thought racism was.
Okay, did you look up the definition?
I did. Of course I did.
I want to hear it. I mean, as far as, because everybody's like, well, you should have looked it up, or you should have did your research.
You should have did your research.
You should have looked up 6 different fucking sources that list 6 different definitions of what racism
Y'all
is.
are fucking exhausting. Jesus. Y'all wouldn't watch fucking professors don't go to university to study sociology, but you want us to fucking do your homework.
We sound pretty bitter, don't we?
Yeah. I am bitter. Fuck them.
Yeah, it's so dumb.
Yeah. But so Merriam-Webster basically defined it as a belief that race is a fundamental determinant of human traits and capacities that racial differences produce an inherent superiority of a particular race. Now, what I noticed was that a lot of there's a lot of like articles, a lot of like online journals and things like that that are combating this definition of racism because they're saying like it's outdated.
Yeah.
Like there's multiple different, apparently different kinds of racism. And I actually remember studying some of this shit when I was in college. They talked about individual racism versus systemic or systematic racism.
Okay.
Which is basically, if individual racism is you go to Chickasaw and Mr. Billy from down the road say you Hispanic bitch or you wetback or some old crazy.
Keep giving me more.
Yeah,
No. Keep throwing them.
That's where my arsenal. That's what my arsenal. I'm kind of limited, I ain't do
sure.
Yeah, I ain't do my Hispanic derogatory term research yet. But yeah, so that's like individual racism. Is like an individual experiences it in a unique circumstance between them and another person.
Yeah.
And then systematic is, self-explanatory. It's you're not getting a loan at Wells Fargo because your name is Tyrell Jackson versus Elvis Presley.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that the term racism is so complex and so complicated now that it's hard to really even pinpoint who can be racist at this point.
Yeah, I mean, when we think about the definition that a lot of people give, where it's like that black people have nothing to gain from the system that was created, so because of that system being created up against them, that they can't be racist. But I feel like we've come so far, right? Like we've had a black president, right? We have black chiefs of police. We have black people in office. We have black people in a lot of different positions of power, right? Now, granted, they wasn't handed to them. They worked their way up to that position. But there's black people in position of power.
Yeah.
So can those people, if black people in those positions decided to only work with black people, right? They give black opportunities. They hire only black people. They don't give it to Spanish, don't give it to Asian or white people. Is that person that is in power racist?
That's actually a good question, I think. And obviously I'm not the subject matter expert here, but I'll speak from experience and I'll speak also from, just kind of what I read and what I saw online. And even what I learned in college is like, even though you have these, black people in positions of power, they're still working within like a system that was designed before they took office or before they got the job. So yeah, like you can have a black police chief, but they still have to follow the guidelines that were put in place by, you know, a white superior.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's not like they can go out and police the neighborhood how they see fit. They still have to do their job based on the description that was given to them.
Yeah, I get that. Let's say it's a black business, right? Like a black restaurant. All right. If this black restaurant says that we're only going to employ black people and we're only going to sell to black people, is that racist?
I mean,
and the reason that I'm choosing this scenario, obviously, this is a dramatic scenario.
It's not that dramatic. I mean, because it happens.
I guess, but it's just like I want to try to steer away from the idea of people being like, well, black people can be prejudiced, but they can't be racist. Because two different definitions. Apparently, prejudice is one group of people that you're not a fan of, you don't like it or whatever.
Right.
But the question here is racism, because anybody can be. I think everybody agrees that you can be prejudiced.
Right.
But to be racist is where people apparently are like, no, you can't do it. But if there's a situation, like I just said, where it's a black-owned business with only hiring black employees, so it's only giving opportunities to black people, they're obviously, it's their business, so they run it the way that they want to, and they only provide, if it's food, they only sell, if it's clothes, they only sell to black people. Like, is that racist?
So I guess my question would be why? Why are you only hiring black people, or why are you only serving or selling to black people?
Most people would say, right? I'm just trying to, obviously this is a fake scenario, motherfuckers. That, I want to give my people the opportunities that were never given to them.
Right.
And I've seen my people oppressed in more than one way. So they're the only people that I want as my demographic. They're the only people that I want to surround myself with. They're the only people that I want to work with and work for.
Right.
Right. So I guess you can understand it, right? You can see where they're coming from and you can see their point of view. But I think in the root of it, though the motive may be sincere, though the agenda behind it may be nice or thoughtful, it's still racist. If you're excluding people because they're not your skin tone, and it's like everybody except for my people, wouldn't that still be categorized as racist?
I mean, it's difficult because of all the things you named. Like, black people have been, excluded intentionally from so many different things.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, all right, now we have the opportunity to rebuild our infrastructure, rebuild our neighborhoods, rebuild, our nuclear families. We have almost like this sense of obligation to do that.
Yeah.
But then, like you said, you're excluding other people from that said opportunity.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, because if you flip the script and you say, oh well, white people are only hiring white people, or white people are only selling or serving white people, that's racist.
Yeah, of course.
But
and there's not even a question. That's racist.
Right. And then my thing is always coming back to the why.
Yeah.
Is it because you feel like white people are not getting the job opportunities that black people are getting? Because that's not true.
Yeah.
You feel like white people are not as wealthy as some of the other minority groups? Because we all know that that's not fucking true.
Yep.
It's almost twice the wealth of, people of color.
Yeah.
Outside of like the Asians. I think the Asians are doing fairly well in that status, statistic, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But if I think it comes back to the motivation is like, are you hiring black people because you feel like there are too many black people who don't have the opportunity to go get these types of jobs or make this type of money outside of the community that they're in, or the community that you're serving? If that's the case, I don't have a problem with it. But if you're saying like, oh, well, I'm only hiring black people because I hate white people, well, then, I got a fucking problem with that, because you're basically becoming the same monster that created this whole situation from the beginning.
I mean, I like motive obviously is it's pretty much everything, right? like you said, like why are you making the decisions that you're making? And I can understand being like, well, I want to create opportunities or whatever. But it's like if your true motive is to create opportunity, like wouldn't you want to widen the net that you cast across the community? Communities, obviously, if you go to North Philly, if you go to West Philly, yeah, those communities are predominantly black people, but there's also hella fucking Spanish people.
Yeah.
Right? There's Muslims, there's like Indian people, there's like it's not one race.
Yeah.
And so in that scenario, it's like you're choosing who to exclude and who to include. And that's where it's like you tiptoe around the
So here's my thing. Every group does it.
Oh, 100%.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's always a Chinatown. Wherever you, like, whatever city, country you visit, you can find a Chinatown where, you know, Asians are, you know, band together, create communities, create businesses, employ, work with, circulate their own money through these communities.
Yeah, 100%.
And nobody's mad at that.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
Because no one ever questions it. They're like, this is their area.
Exactly.
That's good. I mean, I've never seen anybody be upset at that. And if we're gonna have a conversation about racism and minorities being racist, I've experienced racism from like Asian people.
Okay.
Like, have you ever gone to like obviously North Philly and shit like that is not a good area.
Yeah.
Right. So they probably get robbed a bunch.
Yeah.
All right. They probably get threatened a bunch. But I've gone into Asian-owned businesses and they're just fucking watching you.
Yep.
Right. They're anything that you pick up, they're already like, you want to buy it, right? And it's just like, bro, fucking relax. I'm gonna fucking buy something.
Right.
And then you get to the register and they're not respectful. They just want you to get the fuck out the store as quickly as possible. So I have experienced that from Asian people, like in North Philly especially. And I understand because of what they probably deal with on a day-to-day basis. But wouldn't you categorize that as racist? Or do you like, because it's definitely driven by the people that's affected them directly. So it's Spanish people and black people. So when a Spanish person or a black person walks into their establishment, immediately they're on guard and defense and they don't trust those people.
It's funny you brought that up because I think about a movie, I don't know if you've watched it, Menace to Society.
Don't be a menace. Yeah.
The non-parody version, George. Yeah, so the original.
Don't be the Wayans brothers?
Menace to Society is the original.
All right,
yeah.
I got you.
But yeah, like he walks into the Asian-owned store, hurry up and buy. That's where he came from. And for a while, I feel like the conversation was always like, white people don't like black people. Asian people don't like black people. I don't know when the conversation started focusing solely on white people being racist towards black people. But something happened and it shifted the stance that Asian people as a whole and how that they were being represented in the media, obviously, shifted to they're minorities. They're people of color. Mm-hmm. Stop Asian hate, all of that stuff.
Yeah, that was COVID.
Okay. You think that was,
I think
was that recently?
Okay. I think that was a major thing. I do know prior to that there were, I don't know if the hashtag was trending prior to COVID, but it definitely was during COVID.
Yeah.
Especially with Trump being in there calling it the Kung flu and, and all this shit.
God, bro.
And anybody that saw an Asian person on the street immediately was like, you have COVID.
Yeah.
And a bunch of videos of white people just disrespecting Asians.
Yeah.
Telling them to go back and take your disease with you. You know what I mean? Like completely disrespectful. And I think that kind of solidified, they're minorities as well.
Yeah.
And then the hashtag Stop Asian Hate came into play. And it was way more well received than
Black Lives Matter. Bro. Oh my God.
Yep.
That's crazy that you said that because I don't want to derail the conversation, but like literally within like hours, they had they had laws, they had all these things to protect Asian people, and black people basically had to turn the world upside down.
Yeah.
To be heard.
Yeah.
About
there were no
one
riots
thing.
on the street with Asian. I didn't see Asians looting anything or destroying buildings or marching down the street.
Yeah. Black people have been asking for police reform, police brutality to end, all of the stop and frisk shit to be over with. Never got it, and then they had to blow up cities just for laws to be passed to protect black people. It's crazy.
So there's a person that I had a conversation with years ago, and I want to get your opinion on their thought process. It was kind of relative to that, right? Where black people obviously fight hard to move an inch forward.
Yeah.
For, just laws to change, opportunities to change, respect in general. Right. And I remember, this was years ago, so I don't remember everything, but the conversation was like, there's Spanish people in those marches as well. There's Spanish people standing side by side with black people demanding the same thing.
Yeah.
Because generally what happens to you also happens to us. And this woman, she was like that she doesn't want the support of Spanish people because she wants black people to win first and then they'll help Spanish people fight their fight. But until black people have won the fight that they're trying to fight, that they can't focus on anybody else. And I was like, well, that's kind of fucked up.
It is. And yet I feel like there's a point in there somewhere to be made. And I only say that because I specifically look at the LGBTQ community and how quickly their agenda got pushed through.
Okay.
And how like a good portion of that was, black people are part of this community as well. Mm-hmm. So you're telling me if you're a black person and you're part of that community, LGBTQ plus, like you're good, you're protected. There's hate crimes for that.
Yeah.
But if somebody does something to a black person
and they're not
part of that community, you're less likely to be charged for a hate crime. So a lot of black people are arguing that the movement, was being hijacked by people of other,
for the LGBTQ, it was being
well, just in general. Like I thought, and that was to your point is like I think whatever argument they were making is because they felt like black people were doing so much work and other groups were just jumping in like, hey, like we have these problems. Oh, you're past, you're good.
Yeah. And I mean, I remember telling her too, like when we had the conversation is like black people, you guys just know how to get behind each other when you need to.
Is that what you think?
I do, because I mean, but it has to be like a vital moment.
Yeah.
Right? Something bad has to happen.
Yeah.
And you guys will come together quickly to stand up against the bad that had happened.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we've seen it years and years and years, time and time again, where, black people band together for marches down the streets.
Yeah.
Right? We've seen pictures of fucking Bloods and Crips fucking
holding hands
because the bigger picture was more important.
Yeah.
Right? You don't get that from any other minority group. You don't get that from Spanish people don't band together like that. Asian people, like we said, they didn't do that. They were vocal on social media, but that's pretty much about it. And then they got support quickly. But I don't see that type of coming together from any other race.
So let me ask you this. Aside from black people, what other race do you see the media portraying as pit against one another or trying to pit them against each other?
Oh, black and Spanish people.
No, I mean within that same race. So they always do the colorism thing, which is like dark skinned people versus light skinned people.
Yeah.
Bloods versus Crips.
Yeah.
Rappers versus politicians. Like they're always like highlighting the differences within the black community, which is okay to a certain extent because black people aren't like this just one homogeneous group. Like we are all different. We all some of us like anime, some of us like rap, some of like we're all different to some extent. But I feel like the media, the world, whoever you want to blame or point the finger to, is always like, oh look, like there are these kind of black people, and then these are the people who are against them.
I mean, that's easy though. Like why they're doing that.
Yeah, of course.
It's because if they can create the divide within you guys, then you guys can't come together and do what you need to do. You're creating hate within your own community.
Exactly. And I think that's why it looks so powerful when you see black people banding together, is because they're so often being portrayed as, divided at the seams.
Yeah. But I mean, even with that point being made, when what other race have you seen do what you guys have done when times have called for it? Not in this country.
Yeah, not the Hispanic population here at all.
Not in this country. They've done it in Argentina. I've seen it there.
Yeah.
They do it in their own home countries.
Right.
To stand up for themselves, but they don't do it here.
No, I think the Asian community here in the States are very passive. They'll take your arguments to the proper channels, the courts, whatever community meetings that they need to go to and have their voices heard there. I don't see them like marching and getting in the streets and going on the news networks and things like that. And maybe I'm just ignorant to these things, and I'm sure the internet will point it out and drop some shit in the comments.
They'll give you the answer,
yeah,
but only
more than
after they
welcome.
offend you.
Yeah.
Or try to
Google it. You should have did the research. Like, bro, how much time do y'all think we have? Jesus Christ.
Clearly a lot. We have a podcast. They think that it's just like you guys just sit around.
Yeah, but nah, like I don't know, man. I don't know of another race group of people that have to go to that extent that black people have to go to have their point made.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing for black people, because it's like I said earlier, you got to set cop cars on fire for them to pass, the George Floyd post, murder laws and things like that. So it's tough, man.
So to go back to, where we started at, do you think white people can feel like genuine racism? Can they be like, well, I've had racist encounters?
Like for fun, let's create a scenario where a white person is experiencing racism. Show me what that looks like.
Oh, this is gonna be a good one. So let's just flip the script, because there's nothing else. White people have fucking done everything.
Yeah.
Right, to minorities. So let's just flip the script. Let's say that a white dude gets pulled over by a cop.
Yeah. And
it's two black cops. And immediately they're aggressive, oh, officer, what I do? Hands on the steering wheel, right? And he's like, oh, okay, my bad. Like, I just want to know. And they get out of the car, the whole situation, right? Where they're mad aggressive, put him in handcuffs, find a reason to book him in that situation. And let's say that it's two black cops that are like, oh, we have a white kid, let's fucking do to him what's been done to us.
Yeah.
In that scenario, can that kid be like, well, I've experienced racism?
Well, see, you kind of fucked my argument up when you said, oh, let's do to him what's been done to us. If you had not said that,
because it's motive.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Which honestly shows that you're great at debating, I think, because that was a great fucking point. But no, had you not said that, I would have said it's a larger issue with the system of policing, because it could be any fucking body that happens to. Like, black people experience that sort of fucking behavior from black cops all the time.
Yeah. I mean, I've had horrible experience from two female Spanish cops.
So,
I think it was just because they were women. But welcome to the Mancave.
You're going to have to clip that and put it in the beginning, like later on. Nah, but yeah. I mean, if that's the situation, if they're like trying to take out some anger, some animosity that they have built up in them, I mean, it's hard to argue that it's not racist,
because that was when it comes to like we said earlier, my definition and a lot like your definition, racism comes from that person's hatred
Yeah.
to that other race
Yeah.
or those other races. People have been trying to, I think, manipulate it, like
Yeah.
we saw in the clip, to make it seem like racist, like you can say and do whatever you want to this, group of people because my people are not in a position to make all of their lives miserable.
Yeah.
Right? But if we have, one situation here and another situation here and another situation here where people of color actively abuse their positions like a lot of white people have in the past in order to make white people's lives worse because they're white, that's racism.
Yeah. Yeah. It always boils down to motive, I think. And that's going to be like the word of the week. But yeah, man, like it largely, in my opinion, it largely depends on why you're doing what you're doing. I don't know if I can honestly say that Black people can ever be as racist as white people in particular.
No, they got it locked down. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say that they don't.
Because if we're going to play the petty Olympics, like they got a 2,000 year head start. Mm-hmm. Like we would have to basically say, all right, this America shit is over. All y'all fucking slaves. We run this shit until fucking 2240.
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, I get it.
If a movie came out where they were like retelling the story of slavery, but with white people being the slaves,
I want to make that movie.
And I've thought about making that movie
I
before
make that movie.
Because I feel like it would be fun, but also it would like
triggering,
right? If we made that movie where white people are the slaves and Black people are the slave owners and they're the masters, and we basically just fuck around and that's the movie, like, is that going to be perceived as a racist movie?
Yes.
It's a fake story.
It doesn't matter.
Right? It's a story that's been told from a different, obviously, it's a true story, so don't fuck around and tell me that me making people slaves in a movie is racist.
Yeah.
When you guys made Black people slaves in real life.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would 100% be perceived as a racist movie.
And the fucked up thing is like, there's somebody who's white who's watching this or listening to it, and it's like, oh, here we go, like talking about slavery, get over it. Like, bro, the problem is like so much of that shit that happened still has lingering effects till this fucking day.
Yeah, I mean, there's families that just have generational wealth because your ancestors were fucking slave owners.
Yes.
And you continue to profit off of the fucking horrible acts that your great-great-great-grandparents did or whatever the fuck it is.
Right.
And built their whole name off the backs of Black people.
And bro, like nobody's asking for the white people who exist today to feel guilty about that. Like nobody's saying like you should be ashamed or you should be embarrassed or anything like that for what was done centuries ago or, decades ago. But what we are saying is that like, let's not act like this shit didn't happen and fucking like take real steps towards closing the gap and making sure that everybody is whole.
Yeah.
Not just a certain group of fucking people.
The shit that kills me with race, like slavery, is white people be like, just fucking forget about it. That shit was so long ago.
Oh, but 9/11.
9/11, never forget. One was worse than the other. Obviously, slavery being worse than 9/11. What do you say? Oh, that's a good one. Is slavery worse than 9/11?
Oh my God.
White people would say 9/11 was worse because our sacred country was attacked. But slavery definitely had more deaths. It affected more people. Until this day, is still affecting people in a negative light.
And spanned across multiple continents. And let's like not get it confused. Like it wasn't just white people who were involved with the slave trade. Yes, we realize that. But we live in America. We're talking about America, where it happened today. fucking Eric said his last name was Freeman.
Mm-hmm.
Like if that's not
Yeah.
an obvious indicator of how we are still kind of like dealing with that shit that happened today, I don't know what is.
Yeah, no, I mean, bro, Freeman being a last name, obviously that's like clear indication
Right.
of where his ancestors came from and what they had to deal with.
Right.
Right. But also if I meet a white lady whose last name is Lynch, I'm gonna be like, it's the same fucking story. There's no way it's not.
Yeah.
Right? Like we could dissect your fucking heritage all the way back to why your last name is Lynch.
That's tough. And even if it's not the reason, it's like you got an uphill battle
Yeah.
because kind of fucking last name is Lynch.
Insane. I'm a firm believer that black people can be racist.
Okay.
Right? I'm also a firm believer that Spanish people can be racist. Asian people can be racist. Anybody can be fucking racist. It comes down to what you said, right? Why don't you like the people? Why don't you want to be associated with those people?
Okay.
I've had black people say in the same breath of saying, oh, I don't want, black people can't be racist. And then say, but I don't want my fucking kids ever dating a white person. I hate white people. I've had black people say they hate white people and then also tell me they can't be racist. I'm like, well, you hate a whole race. Obviously, that comes down to prejudice again.
Yeah.
But your hatred for this race is, I mean, your dislike for this race is hatred.
Yeah.
And I can't not stand on the side where I'm like, okay, yeah, you can say you hate white people. You can say that you don't want anybody in your family associated with white people. You don't want to work with white people and be like, well, that's not racist. That's okay.
Yeah.
No, I can't. I have to see it for what the fuck it is.
I'm going to be honest with you, bro. Like, I hear you 110%. I hear you. I cannot move myself off of I'm on the fence.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm not saying like that I'm racist against white people because I'm obviously not. If you know me, I'm somebody who believes in logic over everything else. I'm fair. I'm just. Like, that's just who I am. But to be black in this country, bro, it's like every week there's something to trigger the hell out of you.
Yeah, 100%.
Everything that is on TV, media, in the movies, there's so many traumatic events, traumatic, movies. Like every time these slave movies come out, it's like,
Yeah, that I've never agreed with that. It's glorifying it and they're profiting from it. And it's more white people on top of these companies profiting from making a slave movie.
and it's like,
And then if black people don't go support the movie, then they're not supporting where they came from. And it's a whole, like the what's the Will Smith movie that just came out? Emancipation.
Yes.
Like that's the newest one, I think. And I can't wrap my head around Will Smith being like, yeah, let's make another slave movie. Like, I understand wanting to tell a story, but the story's been told.
Yeah.
We've seen it time and time again. We have the literature that explains the situation.
Yeah.
Right? And you know who loves those movies? White people. White people fucking love slave movies.
Why? Because they get to feel like they're doing their part.
I don't know. I guess 12 Years a Slave. I only heard people like, I think we were just coming out of high school at the time, but at work, it was only white people that saw that movie and loved it. I remember working with black people. They're like, I'm not watching that fucking movie.
Yeah.
And it's just like, that's the reality of those movies.
It's funny because the argument is like, oh, you have to know where we come from. However, slavery is not where we come from.
No.
It's not where we come from.
Yeah.
It's like watching your favorite boxer have the match where he got absolutely fucking destroyed over and over again. And it's like, even with movies like Django, which is one of my favorite fucking movies of all time. I've watched Django like 100 times already.
What is that?
You know what Django is.
Django?
Django. Jamie Foxx, Christoph Waltz. You never watched Django, the Quentin Tarantino film?
No.
Oh, we're gonna fucking watch that movie.
No, I'm joking. I've seen it.
I'm gonna say you're foolish.
Great
Oh
movie.
my god, bro. But like even watching that, where like the slave is getting, his vengeance, his retribution, they were about to cut the man's strap off.
Yeah.
Like he's hanging upside down, and it's like, and even outside of that, like D'Artagnan getting attacked by the dogs.
Mm-hmm.
There was so many things you had to watch leading up to what you thought was the good part.
Yeah.
By the end of it, you was like, that was a good movie, but damn, like that's just a glimpse of the kind of shit that was happening. It's like, yo, so to my point, like you were saying earlier, a black person was saying that they hate working with white people, or they don't want their, black kids dating white kids. I hear you, but I also know like deep what they're feeling and what they're seeing on a day-to-day basis to make them feel like that.
So because of their experiences, or everything that their family experienced, are we just gonna be like, oh, it's cool, like they can say and do whatever they want to whatever race they want because they've had these bad experiences?
Of course not. I think everybody has to do the work to like overcome whatever it is that they're feeling, because hatred is not going to move anybody forward, no matter what the situation is.
Can't wait for people to hit me up on this one, right?
Like who?
It's just because obviously there's going to be clips.
Yeah.
Right. And then I just eager to people tell me that, I'm racist because of whatever I might have said.
Nah. You know what I'm not understanding though is why there's so much uproar now in the white community.
About what?
About racism. Like, are they tired of talking about it? Are they tired of hearing about it?
Yeah, it's just been a conversation that's been going on for so long.
Yeah.
At this point, racism is taught.
Very true.
People that are racist are having kids and then teaching them to be racist.
Yeah.
Like if it was 100 years ago, that was just their reality.
Yeah.
Right? And then now their lives are changing because these people that they didn't see as people are now getting rights. Then, obviously they're gonna have that hatred, and that's where the racism is gonna come from. Yeah. And then they've experienced it, so they're gonna be racist people. But that racism is just taught time and time again. How many times do we see videos of white kids playing with like colored kids, and it's just not a problem, right? Because kids don't see color; they're just fucking around and having fun with other kids.
Right.
But that kid, if the parents are raising him to, oh, don't play with this one, you have to play with that one.
Yeah.
That kid is gonna grow up to be like that.
Yeah.
And I think that's the problem. I think that might be why they want to fucking stop talking about it, or they're just exhausted about it, because the people who are continuing to raise their kids to be racist aren't going to fucking stop raising them because a hashtag is trending.
That's very true. If anything, it's going to inspire them to keep going.
And it's I don't know. That's why this is a conversation that's never going to end.
No, I don't think it will. And the one thing I don't like is, one, when people try to act like racism doesn't exist, or the other one, which is, oh, I don't see color, which is stupid, because you should see color so you can appreciate other people's cultures and know that there's a difference in how other people will raise their kids or how they'll view the world because of where they've come from. Like, it's obvious.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna.
You know what's one of the funniest lines for a white person to say, and you're like, oh, well, you're fucking racist?
Oh, my best friend's black, or
that one. And then also,
shit.
I don't, like you said, I don't see color. You could be white, black, green, purple, blah, blah, blah. You'd be like, oh, you're racist. Like, homie, what are you saying? Nobody's purple out here. Like, you're just creating this argument because you hate these people.
It sounds very stupid.
Yeah. And I've heard it. And the only people that say that is that I've experienced is I know white people that be like, oh, I don't hate them because they're black. I just hate them because of what they do or this and that. And I'm like, no, you're very clear. It's like Vitamin Shop. What's her? Should we say her name?
Oh, Jackie.
Okay. You remember fucking what's the quarterback?
Colin Kaepernick.
Kaepernick.
Yep.
Bro, That weekend, this girl was fucking
she was losing her
livid.
shit. I know she was losing her shit. I would have loved to be
She
there.
was in there like, this is disgusting. Nike is going to support this man.
Yeah.
I just brought some Nike sneakers. I can't wait for them to come. I'm going to fucking return them. Right? All my Nike stuff that I got at home, throwing them away. Right? I was like, you are such a piece of shit. Right? We had like an all-store meeting that Sunday. Homie, I came Nike'd the fuck out. I had like my Nike sweats, Nike hoodie,
Right.
Jordan's hat,
Right.
Jordan sneakers. All right. And we were just chilling. Da, da, da. She comes up to me and goes, you couldn't have made it any more obvious. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm just wearing my regular clothes.
Right.
But the fact that I even wore Nike shit and she's like, oh, this motherfucker's wearing Nike shit.
Yeah.
Bro, people like that's so many of those people are just like that. Like that whole situation.
You know what's my my biggest thing with racism is not the well, it's more so my biggest issue with what happened during happened during and post slavery. I almost knocked the whole goddamn table over. Is the residual effects.
Okay.
And I think this exact conversation that we're having has divided a lot of Black people, specifically between people who have white in their family and don't have white in their family. Because I see a lot of people who are mixed online arguing like in favor of white people. Like, oh, this racism shit has to stop. Like, y'all are basically being racist against white people now.
Yeah.
And I want to show you a clip and see what you think about it because I'm super confused as to why these people have decided to take a side. Like, I have white in my family. My mother's father is Irish.
Okay.
And even not just like isolating there, like my great grandmother is fair skinned. So there's some white, in my ancestry somewhere.
Yeah.
Which is almost impossible if you are Black and live in this country because we already know what happened. Like a lot of people either, were raped or, had kids out of wedlock or whatever with white slave owners.
Yep. Or their kids.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So a lot of us ended up light skinned for whatever reason. But I find it difficult to understand why these people are so ready to identify with one side of the argument. It's like, oh,
Okay. I'm eager to see the clip because
yeah.
of
Let me show
how
you.
you're explaining it.
Yeah, let me actually send it to you so that we can play it off your phone because your phone's probably louder. In college, there was a girl. She was cute. I wouldn't say she was like. First of all, I don't even know why that was the first thought about how she looks. But I guess it's something
Because
like
we have to care if she's ugly. Who
yeah,
gives a
like
fuck?
it's invalid, right? Nah. But yeah, like no, I guess it has something to do with how she was trying to carry herself, like she was the baddest joint in the whole world. Like it was years ago, so she clearly left a bad taste in my mouth. I'm talking about it right now. But yeah, it's like she basically was like, she doesn't see herself as Black.
Okay.
I'm like, sweetheart, like regardless of what you see yourself as,
Yeah.
you're only half white. So the rest of the world is going to see your skin's tanned.
Yeah.
Your nose ain't small. It's not pointy. You got a nice black nose, full lips.
Yeah.
They're not seeing you as a white girl. You can talk and carry yourself as however you see.
Yeah. If you're mixed, usually they're gonna be like, "Oh, look at this Black girl."
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Depending on the circle that you're in.
Yeah.
But yeah, I sent that to you. Check it out. Let me see what you think.
That is exactly what I mean. White people need to take a back seat.
That's crazy, though.
Let's play a little game called Imagine Saying That About Any Other Race. Asian people need to take a back seat. Cancelled, censored, deplatformed. Black people need to take a back seat. Cancelled, censored, deplatformed. Hispanic people need to take a back seat. Cancelled, censored, deplatformed. Oh, but racism is totally okay when we do it towards white people. The white people alive today are not the ones who wronged your ancestors. We are all our own individuals, responsible for our own decisions, so why are we lumping in characteristics for a whole group of people? You wouldn't allow it when it comes to any other race because it's wrong. If you keep up with this racist rhetoric, we are straight up gonna have a civil rights movement for white people in about 50 years. It's getting ridiculous. I know it's convenient to blame white people for all the problems in your life, but sometimes your problems are exactly that. Yours. I never thought we would live in a day and age where racism was so acceptable.
Can we actually? Did she say your ancestors? Because now I'm like ready to do a fucking DNA test on.
So she's already separating herself with
Yeah.
that too.
And
not our ancestors, it's
Right.
your ancestors.
And I don't want to assume that she's black because maybe she's not. But if she is, it's a little
She looks
cringe.
pretty mixed.
Yeah, a little cringe. Assuming that your ancestors has absolutely nothing to do with what happened, or nothing happened to them.
Yeah.
Rather.
Like you said, it is very quick to pick a side. It's not even having a conversation. It's just shaming the other community, like anybody of color, for even remotely thinking that, white people do need to kind of allow these people to thrive on their own. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't even, I guess all I can say, and it's just from this little clip, is that people express themselves based off the experiences that they've had.
Yeah.
Right. So let's say that she is mixed. So, white and black. All I can think is that she's experienced a lot of white privilege based off of her family and where she comes from. And she is where she is because the white side of her family supported her and helped her get to where she is. So if that's her reality in any situation where people are going to disrespect white people, she's going to come to their defense because her background has been supported by white people.
Exactly. And it's funny that you came to that conclusion because it's so easy.
Yeah.
Like, and I hate it. I hate being that guy that was like, oh, you said this, you dress like this. I know exactly what box to put you into.
Yeah.
But it's super fucking easy because I can almost guarantee you that her boyfriend is white or her partner, whoever it is.
Yeah.
Or she went to like some sort of like all white school or something, because that's the easiest way for somebody who's mixed to pick up the exact mentality that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Also, there's people like Candace Owens. Do you know who she is?
Yeah. Yeah.
Husband is white.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that she's arguing so hard for, equality for white people in a way, in a sense. Because it's like, all right, this is who's backing you. This is who's supporting you financially or otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
So of course you're not going to fucking make them feel discriminated against or alienated, however you want to spin it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I agree 100% with the agenda behind why you make decisions. So if your decision to support, only black communities and sell to black people and employ black people is because you want to only support those people and just create that world for yourself, and it's no disrespect to anybody else, fine.
Yeah.
That's your business. That's your do with it whatever you want.
Right.
But if you're saying that, well, I only want to work with black people because I fucking can't stand anybody else, and I only want to sell to black people because, I don't want to be associated with them, then yeah, that's racist.
Right.
Whether you want to change the definition to support your cause or not, your motive behind why you dislike a certain group of people is going to define you.
Regardless of what I've experienced or, what I think about slavery, racism, whatever, I'm not walking around with that in my heart.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I feel it sometimes. I'm like, man, fuck. For example, in college, there was this girl that I liked, short, cute white girl. Well, I thought she was cute. Maggie. And I was like on this girl's ass, bro. I'm like, I'm trying to hang out with her. Every time I see her, I'm on my best behavior. I'm busting everybody's ass in basketball when she's in the gym, trying to like shine, And I was just like, what's up? Like, can we go out? Can we date her? Trying to shoot my shot. And she's just like, Larry, I can't go out with you. And I'm just like, I'm fairly new to being around white people this much because I went to Seton Hall. So I'm coming from West Philly.
Yeah.
I really had no business being at Seton Hall. I couldn't afford that shit.
Yeah.
But at the time it didn't click until I got a little bit older, and I was like, oh shit. Like she literally is saying, I cannot date you. There's no way I'm bringing you home to my fucking parents.
Yeah.
Because when I seen the motherfucker she ended up dating, I'm like, really? This is what you chose over me? So, but I mean, I don't know what she's having to deal with in her life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, maybe it's not all on her.
Yeah. I mean, again, just to wrap it up, I don't know. Like, can black people be racist?
I think it depends.
It depends on the person. It depends on the situation. I think you can do racist things.
Yeah.
Yes.
100%.
Now, can black people affect the community or our economy the way that white people can? Of course not.
Of course not.
And that's why they've been fighting, and that's why people make the argument that black people can't be racist. But it doesn't have to be such a big picture. You can be a racist dude in North Philly.
Yeah.
Just because I'm not in the White House or running a fucking governmental branch, it doesn't mean that I can't be racist.
Yeah.
And that's how I view it. And that's why I still say that, yeah, you can be racist regardless of the color of your skin. It depends on the situation. It depends on how you react. It depends on your motive, how you feel.
Yeah. Well, essentially, whether you're the old white guy on a porch who doesn't let his daughter date anybody who's black because you've seen some black people on CNN, maybe setting some cars on fire or some shit, or you're the older black guy who says that he's not allowing any white people into his store because of what has happened to his people for centuries. You have to think about why you're saying what you're saying and why you're doing what you're doing. And if it comes from a place of hatred or like some sort of resentment, then you got to take a step back and reevaluate who you want to be and what you want to put into the world. Because that's the shit that people will remember you for. And that's how people will judge you.
Yep. And like we said earlier, this is a conversation that will never stop. All right. We're going into a new year, 2023. And I'm just a realistic person. Like the world that we're living and the world that my kids are going to live in.
Yeah.
Racism is going to be there regardless.
Yep.
And it's unfortunate because people of color, what we have to teach our children is how to maneuver around the racism.
100%.
How do you continue being yourself in a place where you're being judged solely because of the color of your skin? Like, how do you get yourself out of dangerous situations where, a cop with a gun already doesn't like you because you're colored.
Yeah.
Right. And white people don't have to teach their kids that.
No.
Right. That's just something that we have to deal with. Like, I'm going to have 2 boys. I have to teach them how to read the fucking room.
Yeah.
Right. And you're going to have to do the same thing.
Yeah.
How to read the room, how to read people. Right. When the fuck to shut up.
Yeah.
Right. And unfortunately, that's just the reality. A lot of people don't know when to shut up. They let their pride get in the way. Yeah. And right or wrong, it just puts people in even worse positions. But that's not the world. That's not a world that's going to stop. As many people as want to fight the good fight and be like, well, we have to try to find a way to end racism. Yeah. Racism is not going to end.
No, it's not.
So,
but keep doing what you're doing. A lot of people have made great sacrifices to get us where we are in the world.
100%. All I can say is, white power. Keep it moving.
Shut the fuck up.
It's the end. Yeah. No one's gonna make it to the end. This is where you can say whatever you want to say.
No bullshit.
No, we appreciate you. We got some big plans, like we said, for 2023. This is the first official episode of 2023.
Yes, sir.
And we decided to come out swinging.
A little spicy.
Yeah.
But, this is what we do.
Yeah. Look, if white people got together and talked racism, that'd be a little confusing. They got a black dude and a Spanish dude talking about racism. I think it's kind of justified to talk about our point of views. Yeah. And if you don't agree with it, go fuck yourself.
That's the Man Cave.
Catch you on the next one.